In Latvia, the bread we're about to create commands so much respect. If you drop it on the ground, you're expected to kiss it. It's a spiced and filling loaf, perfect for those cold Baltic winter nights. I'm Georg Mattes, and I'm a European correspondent, but I also love to bake. So here's some food for thought from Latvia. This recipe starts with 2 very moist pre-doughs. First, mix 140 milliliters of water with 140 grams of wholemeal rye flour and add 20 grams of rye sourdough. In a second bowl, mix 70 grams of crushed rye malt flakes, this time with 300 milliliters of hot water. The widest waterfall in Europe is in Latvia, after all.
It's a slippery slope, I admit.
Once you've had a bite of this loaf, you won't want to put it down. It tastes sweet, but also a bit sour. And that's what Latvia's Prime Minister, Artūrs Krišjānis Kariņš, says about the European Union.
The EU is not and never will be perfect. It's not. But it's the best damn thing that I can think of.
12 hours later, combine both pre-doughs, adding 300 grams of wholemeal rye flour and 100 milliliters of lukewarm water. Then leave it all to rise for another 12 hours. Now mix 180 milliliters of water, 300 grams of plain flour, 260 grams of wholemeal rye flour, 1 gram of fresh yeast, 22 grams of salt, 45 grams of sugar beet syrup, and 8 grams of caraway seeds. Finally, add the pre-dough. Knead it by hand for 5 minutes. You'll need a strong dough to integrate all that water. And the challenge of integration is something not unknown to Latvia.
My country dealt with a little bit of immigration as well. During the 50 years of Soviet occupation, more than 700,000 people, migrants, arrived in our country.
More than a quarter of Latvia's 2.2 million inhabitants are ethnic Russians. 45 minutes later, place your dough onto a floured work surface. Take 40 grams of it and put it into a separate bowl. Add another 35 milliliters of water and set it aside. Line a proving basket with a kitchen towel. Place the dough inside, cover it and leave it to prove again for around 60 minutes. This recipe takes time and it's complex, just like Latvia's history and culture.
We view ourselves as being rather pragmatic, very patient, and in the culture there's a strong creativity that always presses its way through.
And now it's our turn to get creative. Place the dough on baking paper and apply the dough and water mixture, which you've kept separate from the main dough. To Latvians, this gesture comes naturally. Watch and learn. Finally decorated with a traditional pattern. Slide the bread into the oven, preheated to 250 degrees Celsius. Bake it for 40 minutes. 10 minutes in, reduce the heat to 190 degrees Celsius. Finally, glaze the loaf with a mixture of 3 grams of potato starch and 200 milliliters of boiling water. There you have it. The Salinata Rupjmaize. And that's all I'll say. According to Latvian tradition, when you sample a new loaf of bread, everyone needs to keep silent. Thanks for watching, and if you're hungry for more bread recipes, click here.